This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, we got into it at the end of the last podcast. We were talking about the Titans, getting the new uniforms, which I personally think are really, really cool. I think you like them too. They went to the old Houston Oilers type of look. But we teased a little bit. We said we'd talk about uniforms here. So you know what? Let's just get right into it. The NFL uniforms. I'm a big uniform guy. I think I'm starting to pull you over there a little bit. But top uniforms in the NFL. Well, first, let's just go this. Do you like the classic look that some of these teams have, a la the Bears, the Packers, the Cowboys type of thing? Or do you like some of these teams that, get a little bit more modern with their uniforms?
I'm torn on this one because I like the old school kind of look, the traditional, like classic Chicago Bears and Packers, and even the Browns, as boring and ugly as that is, that just reminds me of, it just reminds me of old school growing up in the 80s and 90s. There's teams out there that have changed their look, Patriots, Denver, things like that. And I don't hate the new uniforms on them. I do like them, I guess. But it's just something about when they throw back to those old uniforms. It just relives my childhood a little bit. And so I'm a little torn on it. I love the classic look. I'll always like the old school look. But I don't mind a little change every once in a while if they do it right. The Titans, came from the Oilers technically, changed things up. And I understand that. That's fine. But now they're kind of going back to that baby blue, and you just can't go wrong with that baby blue on any level.
No, you can't go wrong with that baby blue. And I understand a lot of this stuff does come down to sales, right?
Sure.
That's why they've thrown in the alternate uniform. I mean, God knows. The worst about it is the NBA. You never know what they're wearing. And half the time they're not even wearing their colors. It's just awful. But, I felt like for a while there when they went to these new uniforms, so many of those went to the just the same colors. Like you had blue and then navy blue. And then you had not much green, but you had red, a little bit of purple sprinkled in there, but black, it's just like everybody. You think about it really, if we went through this and then I could pull up, the teams right now, if you think about the colors that they sit in right now, like the teams that what they have right now, and I'm trying to pull up the team list. I could go up, but I just want to make it quicker and go through these teams here. So if you go through it right now, okay, Patriots, blue and red, Bills, blue and red. Okay, the Dolphins are a little bit different, and the Jets have green. Steelers, black and yellow. Ravens are the one purple team, but then you get the Bengals, who have black and a little bit orange, obviously the Browns. Jacksonville, mainly black. Texans, blue and red. Colts, blue. Texans, before they just changed it, navy. Denver, navy. Chargers finally switched back, but guess what they were at before that? Navy. Blue, Chiefs, red. Raiders, black. Eagles were the green. The Dallas, obviously the classic, but navy. Washington, red. Giants, blue. We can keep going through these. There's very few teams that were just outside those colors. And I know the Seahawks went a little crazy with their lime green uniforms, right?
Yeah.
But they were trying to be splashy. They just went a little too splashy. But you know what? You get these teams, and while you know who they are, they all kind of blended in, and it's like blah. They all looked alike, right?
Right.
If you go back to your throwbacks, and I know some of these, I get why Tampa went away from the creamsicles, but now you went away from them enough, and you come back to them. It's like if they're on the field, it's the Bucs, right?
No doubt.
It's the Bucs. When Detroit's been pretty good, but Detroit comes out in that Honolulu blue. It's the Lions. The Kelly Greens for the they went to that darker game, but the Kelly Greens, you knew it was the Eagles. Like you just knew some of these teams, and I think they need to go back to that. And even like the old Seahawks who were blue, the blue was a different blue. It wasn't just that normal blue or navy. So while some teams need to change, I think a little bit, right? I think going back to these old school uniforms is good. I like it. I like going back to the old school uniforms. I think some of these teams should go back to the old school uniforms, and some of them have done a good job of just staying with those uniforms. A la, like we said, the Packers, the Bears, the Raiders. I know we hate them, but the Cowboys, all those things are classic looks. Stay with those, but let's go back to some of these classic looks. And I think the Titans hit a home run by doing with the Oilers look.
Oh, yeah. No, you make a good point. I mean, if you have Houston playing the Bills or even New England, I know they have their light colors or their white or whatever, but those colors just, especially on the helmets, kind of just they're all muddled up in there. So, I don't mind changing the jerseys, but keep the helmets. Don't mess with the helmet. That bear is okay. It's cool, but I like the old school C. Like that C on the helmet is classic Chicago Bears. I mean, if you go back to the 80s, the Patriot on that helmet was kind of cool. I know they have a version of it now, but I don't know. The Patriot hiking the football was just kind of classic. And then don't even get me started on Denver. I don't like the Broncos, obviously, but when you go Denver, those orange uniforms, and you have that helmet with the blue D for Denver, and that that Bronco up there snorting out his nose, like that's cool. That to me is cool. That's the Denver Broncos. When the Denver Broncos come out to play in those orange uniforms, there's no doubt who's playing for what team out there. And I know my Raiders haven't got too flashy, which I kind of like, because please don't change that helmet. And they haven't done too much craziness. They do some different silver, variations in there. But for the most part, the Raiders and even your Bears have stuck to their basic colors. They're keeping it simple. The Packers kind of get away from it a little bit once in a while. But I'm looking at this, the roster, not the roster, but the teams here, and it looks like the NFC North is really doing about the best job of staying true to who they've been, at least in our lifetime.
Right. And I honestly, I didn't love the Bears orange helmets and the uniforms, right? I think if they wanted to do a one-off, I think them doing a white helmet with the orange on it would look really cool. I'm okay with doing a one-off where you do it one or two games. I'm okay with that. I get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You get fans excited about it a little bit. I get it. I'm good with it. I'm 100% good with it. Even the Bears, the Bears, have done some stuff like that. Some of those get a little crazy, but I get it. They're trying to, pay homage back when the uniforms weren't flashy and they just did different things on their jersey so they could tell they were different because, of the colors. But I just I guarantee you, if you went and asked 100 Eagles fans, should they go back to the Kelly green, I guarantee you'd have at least 95 of them say yes, and you'd probably say 100, right?
Yeah.
The Bucks might be a little less, but most Bucks fans, I think at this point, would be like, yes, let's go back to the creamsicles, and you do that. I guarantee the Titans fans are ecstatic about the new uniforms for the Titans, and yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers fans, the ones that were there, who knows how many they have anymore because they went to Los Angeles. But they had, those uniforms, I think, the light blue with the yellow is awesome. These colors are cool. And I want to see teams in it, and I get it. Some of those teams, and we talked about this too. And if we go down to college, I get why Oregon went to flashy uniforms because nobody wanted to go to Oregon. But yet, even now, people go crazy when they go back to the Donald Duck coming through the O, right? They still want the kind of the crazy uniforms, but I get that. But they didn't have the tradition that some of these teams have, I just think it's really cool, that they go back to it. So, to me, going back through this right here, I think the Patriots 100% should go back to the hiking guy.
I like that a lot.
I think the Dolphins should go back to that green that they had, the darker kind of aqua that they had. I think they should go back to that. Definitely those two teams. The Titans, awesome, good job. Broncos need to go back. Eagles need to go back.
Yep.
And the Bucks and the Seahawks need to go back. I think those teams right there, they need to go back. Then you get some of the other teams that just don't have identity. What's Arizona Cardinals' identity? I don't think they have figured it out. Their uniforms have been as bad as their play on the field.
It makes you wonder if that has some correlation there, because you're right. Arizona, nobody thinks of Arizona as a good football franchise. They had that one Super Bowl appearance, but their uniforms are just as boring as their play on the field, unfortunately. But you're right. Seattle, Denver, the Patriots, those teams, and Philadelphia with the Kelly green. It's funny you bring up Philly because we have a lot of Philly people down in the areas where we live, and even the high school kids who are Eagles fans who weren't alive back when the Eagles were wearing those, they're wearing those to school. They're wearing the Kelly green. They like that color better. They like it. And I understand you're trying to change up jerseys. You want different jersey sales, mix it up a little bit. And like you said, that's fine every once in a while. Put it out there. But let's go back. I mean, I'm going to go to the Falcons. I'm just staring at the Falcons for some reason, thinking about them. I like the red and black. I mean, with the red helmet, that was cool.
I think I read, I don't know about if they're going to go to the red helmet, but I think I read that they're going back to the red jersey is going to be their main jersey.
Yeah.
And I think they need to go back to, like, I hate red. You know this. I hate the color red. But I think they need to go back to the red like it used to be, where there wasn't like some like fancy like black like shoulders or striping or something like that. Just go back to the classic look. And I get it, like I just said, and I kind of joked, but like the Cardinals, I would understand if the Cardinals wanted to mix it up a little bit, try and make it look cooler, because, you know, what's their history? What do they have? You know, I mean, I get why the Saints have changed it up a little bit, even though they kind of have a classic look. Yeah. You have, the Jaguars, the Texans, these newer teams. I get it. The Ravens a little bit too. The Jets. I don't know what I don't think they can figure out which way they want to go. Like, they put the Jets on the helmet, and then they go back to the old school, like when oh my gosh, Joe Namath was there, and then now they're back to the Jets back on the logo. Are they green? Are they black? Like I don't know what's going on with them. But some of these teams just I think they just tinker just to tinker sometimes. Yeah. And it's like, and then you wonder, like, listen, I'm not saying I'm the best at designing uniforms, but like, who is in charge of this and why are they getting paid?
Well, that makes you wonder. Somebody in marketing, somebody who's probably not a sports person per se, maybe they're a fan, but they're really not a sports person. They're in marketing or they're in design or a combination of both. They're looking at color combinations. How can we tweak this here and do that here? But they need to either call you, number one, because you are, I've coached baseball with you for a few years, and you are really good at putting colors together that work well, that match up, that look good. So you have a knack for that. You have that vision. You can see that. I don't see it like you see it. It's, you're all the way from shoes to socks, the baseball jerseys, the letters, the logos, all this stuff, the hats. You're fantastic with hats, putting hat combinations with jerseys and stuff like that. Do a great job. So yeah, somebody needs to reach out to you and say, hey, we are looking for somebody to come up with a color scheme or something like that. But you're right. Like, they get creative or they overthink it, or I don't know, they just don't have, it gets boring, it gets drawn out, and you're not, so you just go back to the old school stuff. It's like the Eagles, like, we're just not blown away by the new jersey. So guess what we go back to? Oh, the Kelly greens look great. Yeah, because you haven't come up with anything better. If it's not broke, let's don't fix it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm looking at the Giants real quick. And when I grew up, 80s, 90s, they had the word Giants across their helmet. And I like that. But the Giants have kind of went back to just the NY on the helmet, which I think was prior to where it said the Giants. So, boy, being a traditionalist, like, I like to stay old school. The NY, I think, is older school than just the word Giants. But I do get excited when I see their helmet say just Giants across it, because that's the Giants I remember. The Lawrence Taylors, Phil Simms, those guys. That's the Giant helmets I remember. So it'll be interesting to see. But Titans, you did it right. You got it right.
Yeah, I mean, the other team too I've heard is trying to kind of go back to the way they used to look without, they can't really go back to the logo, is Washington Commanders. Listen, I'm not getting into, should they be the Redskins, should they not be the Redskins, and if right. How offensive that is to anybody, to all the people. I've had some people that say it's very offensive, and then I've heard some other people that say it's not as offensive. Right. I'm not getting into all that, but that was like a cool looking uniform, cool looking helmet, with all that. And I don't think they were trying to be disrespectful to anybody with the helmet and stuff. Like that was a cool looking helmet. You knew it was the Redskins coming out.
Right.
I get they can't go back to that, and that's fine. But I think they're, some of those Washington fans, while that, some of the traditionalists would love to go back to that logo, they don't necessarily want that. They just want the look to come back, and right. I know they have the maroon and the yellow or the gold or whatever you want to call it, but it's still been a little different. So I think they want it to come back a little bit closer to how it used to be, back when they were the Redskins, yeah. and I get it. I get why they changed it. I understand 100%,
Sure.
But,
sure.
But I mean, I just can't get over, before you get that, I just can't. The W looks like a taco holder. Like You'd put it on your plate and put tacos on it.
2 tacos in it. I didn't even look at it like it's ruined for me now.
You're not going to you can't unsee it now.
I mean, we talked about the Cardinals not really having an identity, but at least they have a bird looking thing. Washington has a taco holder out there. Like, somebody needs to call you from the Commanders and say, come up with something better, because it can't get any worse than a just giant W/taco holder out there. That they went from iconic Redskin helmet look to the most boring thing you can think of. I mean, it's really bad. So give Adam a call, whoever's listening.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the really kind words on the uniforms and stuff like that. But absolutely, they're like, at least the Cardinals, I know they don't have an identity so much and their team's not been good, but actually the logo, that Cardinal logo I like it. Yeah, I like the Cardinal logo. It looks good. Like if we want to talk about, I like the Seahawks logo. I think they need to change their colors, but I like the Seahawks logo. Yeah. Obviously the NFC North is doing it right. The Vikings logo, the Lions, the Bears, the Packers, it's all good. But the Rams logo sucks. It just sucks. I liked the Ram horns, but then they try to change it into the LA with it too, and it's not good. It doesn't. It's I'm sorry, it's bad. The Eagles, like I said, just go back to your old one. The Cowboys, whether you like them or not, that Stars classic.
Stars classic.
Raiders is classic. The Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos go back to your other one. But 3 of the 4 there are pretty good. I don't, like I said, the Titans did good by the uniforms. I don't love the logo, but it's good. The Colts, classic. The Colts, Texans and Jags, you could do whatever you want. The Browns, now I will give you this. I don't know what the Browns would do for a logo.
No,
but just having the helmet as a logo is
that tells you all you need to know right there. The Browns are the only team with just a random helmet as their logo.
What's your logo? We're just going to put a helmet.
Sure. Helmet. Washington has a W, and they have a helmet.
The funniest thing about it is, and I get it, and we can argue this too, is they're the Browns, but what color is their helmet? Orange. So, but you're right. Look at the team's giant helmet. Everybody else has at least something going on. So, Buffalo. And here's the other one that needs to go back to. Can we go back to the Dolphin that has a helmet on his head?
Yes.
Why? Who looked at that and thought, you know what, we need to change this because it's not cool enough.
No,
and they changed it into a slicker looking dolphin, I guess. But the dolphin with the helmet on his head,
cool.
That's awesome.
Classic. Yeah, you're right. Go back to that tealish green that Dan Marino wore back in the 80s.
Yes.
Dolphin with the helmet. Oh, perfect. That's great. I mean, Saints are the Saints. That's fun. But even the Bucks, they just got this flag up there.
Right. Right. Go back to the Buccaneer with the knife in its mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
In the mouth.
That's cool.
That stuff's cool. Nobody's called me yet. I'm still waiting on that call. So
okay, it'll be an email or something. Check your email.
But listen, my favorite uniform, as far as colors go, obviously I like the Bears, but the Chargers with light blue and yellow is awesome.
Yep.
But the Titans, I'm gonna like watching those games now. That's the thing too, and I sit there and when I play Madden on the Xbox or whatever in the college football, I spend about 10 minutes just picking out the uniforms before I play a game.
I bet you do. I mean, you can go in and you could probably spend hours creating jerseys, uniform combinations and stuff like that. But I'm the same way. When I played Tecmo Super Bowl back in the day, I would take the Oilers just because of their uniforms looked cool on that 8-bit screen that you could hardly tell that they were actually guys out there, but at least their uniforms looked cool. So the memories.
I still when I play college football right now, I've won it, with the Big Ten, but I switched Michigan into independent so I could pick every opponent I was playing.
Right.
And I still pick opponents based on, do I want to see their uniforms on the field, or is it cool? I'm trying to play good teams, but Tulane, if I'm playing Tulane, I'm playing at Tulane because I want to see their cool field and uniforms. It's I don't know. It's kind of cool.
I do the same thing. I picked Coastal Carolina to run my dynasty with, and because I like their uniforms. I think their uniforms are cool, and I wanted to pick a team that wasn't a super dominant, so I could challenge myself a little bit. But I picked Coastal Carolina because And the uniforms are cool out there. And you're right. I want to play at Boise. I want to play on the blue field. I want to do that kind of stuff. So it's all about visuals, and somebody's messing it up with the Commanders and the Eagles and the Seahawks for sure. And you're right. The Rams logo, go back to that old school Eric Dickerson, Jim Everett, like horn looking thing. That's way better than what they got going on now. Man, I forgot about that one. I missed that.
Absolutely. So it's fun. But what would be your favorite NFL uniform, either past or present?
If you go past, the Houston Oilers are tough to beat.
Yeah,
For me, they're really tough. I mean, obviously, I'm a Raiders fan. I love the Raiders logo. Their colors are pretty basic, which is fine with me. Black and silver, that's cool. That's, silver and black, all that stuff. But the old school Oilers, okay, with the white helmets, the blue jerseys, the little oil derrick, on their helmet was super cool. If you go current, I mean, I like the Denver Broncos. I don't like the Denver Broncos, but I like their jerseys. And their Denver Bronco helmet with the D and the Bronco on there. I do like that. I just like that combination. But right now, it's tough. I like when I watch the Ravens play, I kind of like that because it's not blue, it's not red. There's purple and black in there. It's kind of cool. So I'm and the Carolina Panthers are in there as well. They're not, they're getting better as a football team, but I do like their jerseys because it has that lighter blue and then black in there as well. But there's just not a lot of things to, current ones that just pop out and stick at me. It's usually when they throw back to the Kelly Greens or, the creamsicles or whatever that I get excited.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
But there's really nothing that pops these days, It's all
there really isn't. There really isn't anything that pops. It's you got to do that. So, all right, enough uniform talk. Let's get into a little bit of this stuff. So we've done a pretty good job here in the offseason of taking things that have been going on right now and turning it in, seeing what the football stuff like that. So, the Final Four set in the college basketball, and one of the teams that won was UConn. That came back from 19 points down to beat Duke. Now, some people hate UConn right now because they've been winning, but Duke is one of those teams that everybody seems to hate. So Duke loses, and I don't think the college basketball world comes together as much as they do when Duke loses. Probably North Carolina at the same point, but I think Duke is probably the top right there. So I guess my question to you is, which college football team do you think can rival Duke with bringing people together to root against them?
The first team off the top of my head is Alabama.
Absolutely.
And it's only because of Nick Saban and his success that he had when he was there, because we are several years past an Alabama national title, but I haven't seen people cheer for against a team as much as I do against Alabama. Obviously, Alabama fans are cheering for them, but people do not want to see Alabama win. And it doesn't matter if your team's in the SEC. It doesn't matter if your team's in the Big Ten. You just want Bama gone. You text me when when Oklahoma was beating Alabama this year, you text me, I had several people text me, yeah, way to go, way to beat Bama. They didn't text me when they beat, anybody else but Bama. So I think Alabama right off the top of my head. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And it definitely is a team that people hate because they just kept winning. They kept winning. They kept winning. Yeah, and I think that's definitely the team. Like, I know I hate them. I know I really, really hate them. But I think it's getting to the point right now with Ohio State too. I think there's a lot of people that are so happy when Ohio State loses.
Yeah. And, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a kind of a reflection of Ryan Day. He's not a real personable guy. When you listen to him talk or anything like that, you don't like the guy. You just kind of like, this is their coach, whatever. And he gets all this talent. I mean, we went just through the top 10 picks. There might be 4 or 5 Ohio State guys on there. I mean, they're loaded with guys, and they couldn't get it done. So Ohio State, I think, is right up there, top 5 for sure, maybe top 3 other teams that you want to see lose as well. I think Georgia's getting close to that as well, because they have been so good and they've been tough to beat. I think those 3 teams right off the bat, Texas obviously for me, but as far as a nation goes, as far as college football fans, Ohio State, Bama, and I think Georgia's right up there. I mean, they're all still 3 really good football teams.
Yeah. And you know what? You should almost take it as a compliment, right? That
Exactly.
people want to see you lose because, it's because you're winning. It's because you're winning, and that's why they want to see you lose. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit of Michigan, in the last 3 years, especially because of the whole scandal about the spine and stuff like that. I'm sure people like that too.
Right.
And I know you hate Texas, but I don't think it's one of those teams that a lot like. I don't think the whole country is as excited to see Texas lose as they would to see Alabama, Georgia, those type of teams lose. Back when Urban Meyer was at Florida, I'm sure it was a little bit with Florida also.
Yeah.
It can be to do with the coaches a little bit. It can do with sustain success, but I also think it has to do with sometimes teams get propped up and they think they need to get pushed down a little bit. I think a lot of people are like that with the SEC. I mean, we can just get broader into the SEC. I think the Big Ten might be getting to that soon, but I think people are tired of, teams that win, or they feel like they get the benefit of the doubt. And I think a lot of people think Duke gets the benefit of the doubt a lot, with calls or just, rankings and stuff like that. And I think that's where we are especially with Bama, Ohio State. I mean, we could probably throw in Notre Dame in there.
Oh, for sure. I forget Notre Dame because they haven't had a national title in a long time, but they're always we talk about this at the preseason rankings. Notre Dame is thrown way up there right away for reasons we don't know, and they usually disappoint Notre Dame fans. I mean, they usually just don't follow through. So Notre Dame gets a lot of credit just because their name is Notre Dame. And by the way, if you didn't watch the last 2 minutes of that UConn Duke game, you need to go back and watch it. It was something crazy. I had that game on. It was a blowout. I'm on my phone, not really paying attention. All of a sudden, here comes UConn just creeping back in there. And then all of a sudden, 2 minutes left, I'm going, okay, I'm going to put my phone down right now. And I'm like, my gosh, I cannot believe that just happened. But I think it started with Christian Laettner at Duke.
Yeah.
I think he was hated and he was good and Duke was winning, because you're not going to tell me you don't like Coach Krzyzewski. Mike Krzyzewski seems like a great guy, great coach. They were winning. So you're not looking at the coach going, he's kind of a jerk. You hated Christian Laettner, and you hated that he was good, and you hated that they won. And that has followed through because Duke gets the guys. They get the recruits, and nobody likes Duke. So them going down, yes, and congrats to your Wolverines for getting in there, put a stomping on Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, and honestly, if Michigan can get by Arizona, they get either all Big Ten final with Illinois, or they get to play UConn. And I'm not gonna lie, I would like to beat Illinois again in the Big Ten because their fans can be a little bit. We won't get into that. I would love to beat UConn in the final because Dan Hurley, and you're talking about a team. I think some people didn't like the fact that Duke lost because they lost to UConn, because Dan Hurley right now is acting like an idiot. And I don't know if you saw after he won the game, he strutted around and he put his head right on the head of a ref. Like, what are you doing?
What? I did not see that.
Yeah. He strutted around. I mean, he kind of somebody kind of pulled his jacket off his shoulder and he just walked up. He walked straight up to a ref, put his head on the guy's ref, and just stared at him almost like you made some bad calls and we just showed you what happened. It was really, really odd. And I can't believe the guy didn't tee him up. And that would have been, can you imagine what would have happened had he got teed up doing that and Duke won the game?
Because of technical foul, free throws, and then get the ball. Wow. That would almost be karma. But then you'd have people saying, well, it's because it's Duke. They're protecting Duke, this and that. So it was a lose-lose. But I don't know much about him. He seems to be he was jumping up and down after they made that shot, which, okay, I get that. You're excited. And then they showed him right after the game, and he was fairly calm through the handshake process, but I didn't watch anything after that. But I can't believe he did that with the ref. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. And now people are going to – I guarantee there's going to be a lot of the nation that are rooting for Illinois just because of Dan Hurley. I know Big Ten fans, whether they like it or not, are probably going to want Illinois and Michigan to win because then they can finally
it's been about 25 years or so, huh?
Yeah, it's been 2000 was the last time. So, it's been that. So –
who was it in 2000? Who was it?
Michigan State. Michigan State was the last one. They like to remind us all the time.
Boy, that's bad. I can't believe Michigan State's gone that long without a title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were in that. They're usually playing for it about every other year with Tom Izzo and stuff. So, but Big Ten's got a good chance. I think UConn's going to be tough to beat. Arizona, I think if Michigan was playing Illinois, I think Michigan would be a huge favorite in that one. Just the way they're playing right now. Arizona's playing pretty well too. That's going to be a good game.
It should be a good game, yeah. And honestly, those are the two teams that are playing the best right now. So it's going to be interesting when we get in there too. But we talk about that too a little bit. So we talked about the college football teams that people would love to see lose. Who do you think is the NFL teams? I mean, I think the one right off the top of the bat would be the Cowboys. Like everybody seems to celebrate the fact that the Cowboys haven't made an NFC Championship game since like 1990 something. So obviously the Cowboys, they're America's team, but people, like to root against them. So who would be your next team? I think we both agree with the Cowboys. Who would be your next team that the collective NFL nation is happy loses?
First team that comes to mind is the Patriots, because we had such a long run of 20 freaking years of Tom Brady and the Patriots just dominating the AFC and winning Super Bowls, or at least making it there. And then we got a break, but now they're back. So I thought the Patriots were done. Tom Brady's out. They were bad for a few years, and now all of a sudden they make the Super Bowl. So I think the Patriots are right up there. The Chiefs, I always have hated the Chiefs since the beginning of time. But the Chiefs, I think, are at that level as well. People are tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. They're tired of the announcers just making it sound like every time Patrick Mahomes does anything, it's like the greatest thing on the planet, especially Chris Collinsworth, I think, gets the brunt of that.
Yeah, he does.
Social media stuff of Chris Collinsworth and, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest, this, that, or whatever. There's a whole bunch of jokes on that. But I think the Chiefs are right up there. Patriots are back. Like, I thought we got rid of them, but it's the Patriots and the Chiefs right now for me.
Yeah, I was going to say the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs right now, I think everybody was very happy that they went in the tank last year. Yeah. Not that, I mean, some people might celebrate it. We never celebrate injuries, but you know, when Mahomes went down, that kind of tanked their season. And I think a lot of people were happy they missed the playoffs. The Patriots, I think, I mean, it's funny because it's you see that evolution, and we've talked about this a little bit too before. Is you get these teams that never win, and they want teams to win. So when the Patriots kind of won their first Super Bowl, maybe their second Super Bowl, people are like, "This is really cool. They've been bad. Let's do it." Right. It'd be the same thing right now if the Lions were to win a Super Bowl, or the Bills would win a Super Bowl. I think both teams would be like, "Cool, let's they win a second one." But if they started to have sustained success. I keep trying to say that if they would have success over many years, they would start to get to that point where they're like, no, we want those teams to lose. So, but I think right now it's the Chiefs. I think it's still going to be the Chiefs. And I think a little bit of it is because of how they seem to protect them. And I think with Mahomes stuff, because they always thought the fix was on. I don't think the fix is on because I think it's too hard to fix a whole season, a whole thing like that. But I think we've also talked about this too. When a team is so good, you know what I'm saying, they start to get the benefit of the doubt on some of these calls and stuff. And because you think they're just going to do it and they're going to win. But it's turned into this visceral against the Chiefs. And like it or not, it's a product of their success, like we said.
Yeah, we've talked about that a long time ago. Are they playing favorites to the Chiefs? We're talking about the refs here a little bit. But you're right. When you are good and you are winning, the refs are just human beings. So they believe that you are going to continue to play great week in, week out and just not make that many mistakes. So are they not looking for, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about that. I think you're right. And the Chiefs are a team, obviously I hate them because they're rivals to my Raiders, but Andy Reid, great guy. Great coach. I like that he's having success. I just wish he wasn't doing it in Kansas City. And I don't think Patrick Mahomes is a bad guy. Yeah, he sounds like Kermit the Frog sometimes. But, I don't think he's a bad guy, and he is entertaining to watch. I just wish he was having success somewhere other than Kansas City. But you're right. I think the Chiefs, we'll see what happens this upcoming season with Patrick probably not going to start the first few games. Can they go out there and get it done with a rough start? Or maybe, who knows? Maybe they come out and win a couple of games and then Mahomes goes on and they go on a roll, and here we are talking about the Chiefs again. But you're right. It's funny you bring up the Lions or the Bills who have never won it. The Bills have at least been there. But if they start winning a couple of Super Bowls, 2 in a 3-year period, back-to-back, something like that, people are going to be like, we're tired of the Lions. Really? Because the NFL has been around for a long time, and the Lions haven't even made it there, and now a couple of wins in the Super Bowl, and you're tired of it. But you're right, that's exactly what's going to happen because fans have ADHD, and we want to move on to the next best thing real quick. We don't want to see the same thing over and over again. So that's funny that you bring that up, but I agree, that's true.
Yeah, I mean it's either one of two things. It's either like they're the self-proclaimed like the Cowboys, America's team,
Right,
and I think now that's more of just a running thing. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of people that don't like Jerry Jones. You get into the coaches. People didn't like Bill Belichick with the Patriots, and then they were winning too. But you get to win too much, and then it doesn't matter who your coach is. Like you said, the Chiefs. Like I don't think there's anybody that hates Andy Reid. Like.
No.
He's
a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy, and I don't know,
he's a good coach.
Look at that. So, anyways, you get these good coaches that do really good jobs. So, I don't know. So, I want to flip it back though. We're going to go back to Duke for a second there. Okay, so you get Duke, right, and I know a lot of teams people were excited that they lost, but. You get a team like that just pulls in these recruits, and I heard it, in the last decade, they've maybe done the least with the most talent, that you have.
Yeah.
So, and that puts teams in danger. Do you think there's been a team in, I don't know, let's just say college football or the NFL who has definitely not lived up to expectations based on the talent they have?
But first team that comes to mind is the Texas Longhorns. For me, I think Texas they've been getting 5-star recruits for a long time. They have money down there now for NIL and transfer portal stuff. Like they have money, they get recruits. Texas is one of probably the top 3 best states for recruiting football players. And like football is huge down there, and they cannot produce a winner down there. So, 2005 was the last time with Vince Young. They finally got it done there, but we're talking 20 years ago. And year in, year out, they expect to at least make the playoff, and they just haven't been able to get it done. So I think the expectations at Texas every single year are make the playoffs and compete for national title, and they haven't done that. I think Texas gets the recruits, and they get the guys. So I don't know if it's a coaching situation or they're not putting the right guys with the right system. I'm not sure, but Texas right off the bat comes to mind. It's not because I hate them. I think that you might agree with that, or maybe you have somebody else in mind.
No, I think that might be the biggest one. There might be one here in a second that I'll talk about. Texas, though, 100% Texas. Yeah. And the thing is now I know they're not in the same conference anymore. I get that. But with Texas Tech becoming good, with their NIL and stuff like that, that's going to put even more pressure because Texas Tech is nothing, hasn't been anything. Obviously, they're very, very good last year, but if you want to talk about the history of football, like Texas Tech is nothing compared to Texas. So they're going to feel a lot of pressure now. I've said this on our podcast and stuff like that. I think Steve Sarkisian has to 100% get to the playoffs this year, and I think even if he gets to it, if he doesn't make a run at the national championship or get close to it, he might be in trouble too. So I think Texas is the top one. The other one that you talk about a lot that seems to, I don't know if they've had the most and done the least, is USC. You keep hearing about USC, and they brought Lincoln Riley over, Lincoln Riley over to coach, and it's just been a letdown for USC. Like they haven't even come close to any of the type of expectations they thought they were going to have when they brought him over.
I think last year might have been one of the best seasons that they have. They got to win, unfortunately, at your expense of your Michigan Wolverines, and they competed with Notre Dame. And bringing up Notre Dame, maybe Notre Dame's another team we can throw in the pile here. But you're right, USC with the recruiting in California, which again is one of the top states to recruit. I think it's Florida, Texas, California, football players, and you got this offensive genius mind guy that he has proven he can put together an offense, but he still can't stop anybody. And I don't know if he just completely ignores the defense or what out there, but when they had Pete Carroll and they were winning and competing for national titles, their defense could keep up. Their defense could make plays. It wasn't a shutdown defense. I'm not going to say the 2004 USC team was shutting people down, but all they had to do was get a couple stops because that offense was so ridiculous that you weren't going to beat them unless you literally had to keep up pace with them. But right now it's the offense scoring 30 or 35 and the defense can't stop anybody. So you're losing 40-35. Right. But yeah, USC's up there. I'm going to throw Notre Dame in the top 3 maybe.
Yeah, I would agree. So, all right, we go to the NFL on that. And my first thought would be the Lions, but at the same time, they've never ever won, so it's tough to say. Oh, but they're getting up there. But I think the team, and I think you're going to agree with it once I said it's got to be the Bills, right?
Yeah. It's tough, but like you said, they've at least been there. The Bills have been there. They had the talent. They got there. They should have won the first one. Then the other three, they were way overmatched. But you're right. The Bills have a franchise, potential Hall of Fame quarterback there. They've had guys. They've had defense. Like, I think they've had coaches that can get it done, and they keep year in, year out. It's almost like they take steps back. But the Bills, I mean, and then Cowboys, I'm going to throw them out there because every year Cowboy fan believes this is the year. And it just never happens. Is it because they have guys? Is Jerry Jones? Whatever. But the Bills is a fantastic example of that. And I think that is, unfortunately for Bills fans, you've had chances and it's slipping quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about how small a window can be, and it seems like their window's been kind of extended here, and they're trying. Yeah. They're trying to do it. They're ushering in a new field or new stadium coming in soon. They get the trade with the Bears to get DJ Moore as another receiver out there. But, I mean, they need to win soon. I mean, it cost, Sean McDermott his job. They brought it, they moved up Joe Kelly to be the coach there. So can they finally get over that hump? But, I mean, right now, I mean, you talk about it, and it's set up perfect. We've talked about this too a lot. It set up perfectly for them last year for them to take the AFC, and they just
no Patrick Mahomes,
no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson. They should have got it done last year, and they couldn't get over the hump. So, I think it's got to be the Bills. Like you said, I know they haven't won anything yet, but they have been there. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. So I think that's a little bit, that lines until they get over that hump of just actually getting there. I think that's that mental block. Even though they haven't, most of these guys haven't been a part of that. Right. It is that hump, and the thing is, it's going to be that hump for the Bills when they get to the Super Bowl because people are going to talk about it. Hey, here you go again. You've been in the Super Bowl, but you lost 4 in a row. That one time, back in the 90s, can you actually get it done? So it's just interesting to look at that. A whole bunch of stuff comes up, because Duke loses.
Right. Look at the tangent we went on football because Duke loses on a crazy, last 10 seconds of the game. But I mean, going back to the Bills a little bit, their window is so that I think that it's crazy to think that 1 or 2 more years is max for that team because they have been really good for many years and they just can't get over the hump. And then I look at the Lions that you bring up, and they have the talent. They had the talent for the last 3 years, and they did not. They completely underachieved this past season. This was supposed to be the season where they made a run to the NFC Championship or maybe even the Super Bowl, but they definitely underachieved. And I think their window is slipping as well. But here comes another team, your Bears, in there. I mean,
absolutely.
Bears are doing what they have to do, and I think coaching is a huge factor right now in that division. And your Bears are winning that game.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff coming up this weekend. I know it's not football, but we get the Final Four coming up. Hopefully, I'll be a happy man on Saturday and into Monday. So maybe next time we'll come back and I'll be celebrating a national championship for. Not my Michigan Wolverines, but my Michigan Wolverines on the basketball side. Definitely. So we'll come back and we'll talk about maybe what's the best championship teams out there. I think that's something we can swing into football. Basketball's just going to keep bringing stuff up for us. So we'll come back next week, talk maybe a little basketball and tie it into football, and we'll do all that next week. Until then, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.